So, as far as the Patriot movement, and that's what LWN is, we are part of many patriots out there searching for the truth and delivering the news like it should be delivered. All right, good evening. Welcome, America and world patriots. Oh boy, it kind of almost feels like a Monday. Having some technical difficulties, but we'll get through them tonight. So it is Tuesday, August the 30th, 2022. We are back on air, ready to go. Have a great guest tonight who's joining me. We're going to have some conversations about They Don't Define Us and everything that is happening around us and what's going on. So, can you guys give me a 5x5 in chat? I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me. Um, I got one person that said no sound. Maybe they need to turn the volume up. Just want to make sure that my technical difficulties is not plaguing me. All right. Anyway, had a great day today. Thank you guys. Hey, there's Dr. Rob Allen there. I got to give you a call tonight after the show. So, um, yeah, it was a great day today. I spent a lot of time with my dad. We went up on the mountain. I'm trying to help my parents get their firewood in before the end of summer, before the end of fall, at least, for the winter. And, we're hard workers, but, we definitely, the heat gets to us after a while. So we got with a pretty good load of firewood today, and I was glad to be able to help my parents out because they helped me out so much. So it's nice to give back. So all right, tonight I have John Estabrooks with me this evening, and we've got a lot of stuff that we want to cover with you guys. And tomorrow is going to be, I'm hoping, a special day. I'm working on a couple of projects that I'm going to hopefully let you guys know tomorrow if those are going to pan out or not. A lot of exciting new people that are going to jump on the show with me. So I'm working on that tomorrow, all day tomorrow, and we'll let you guys know with an update on who those people will be and when they'll be on, so you guys can plan for that. And of course, the emails will go out here shortly. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring John in. And we're going to talk about They Don't Define Us, referring to the Democrat Party, because the Democrat Party, now think about this for just a moment before John has a moment to speak here. They have gone out and they've tagged us and labeled us some pretty awful names, some pretty awful handles, to be honest with you, just because we are God-fearing, at times Trump-loving, patriots who love our country. We get labeled some of the craziest titles out there, and they try to define us with words, and we're no longer going to allow them to do that. But yet when the left goes out there and burns cities to the ground and beat people and ruin mom and pop shops, that's just peaceful protest. So there's always, a double standard here. There's always two levels of justice, tiers of justice, it seems like. And so I'm going to let John hop in here with me this evening, and we're going to talk about a lot of that stuff. And just so you guys know, something that was breaking before I came on, Mikhail Gorbachev. It looks like he passed away today at age 91. And he was the one who allowed the tearing down of the Berlin Wall. And of course, him and Ronald Reagan went head to head there for a while back in the 80s. So welcome to the show, John. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great, Mike. And one of the things about Mr. Gorbachev was his relationship with Vladimir Putin. At that time, was the head of the KGB. I see eye to eye. And when Gorbachev tearing down the wall and dissolving the Soviet Union, he was actually in confinement for 3 days, and then he was allowed to leave. People need to know about Mr. Gorbachev. He was one of the fathers of the Club of Rome. And do a little Google search and check out the Club of Rome, their attachment to Klaus Schwab, George Soros, and the Club of Rome came to be, and it was power brokers like Henry, and their mission was to establish
you're breaking up there, John.
Guidelines. Okay. Well, have you ever heard of the Club of Rome, Mike?
Honestly, John, to be very frank with you, no, I have never heard the term Club of Rome. So I went in and I Googled it real quick, of course. So the Club of Rome is a nonprofit, informal organization of intellectuals and business leaders whose goal is to is a critical discussion of pressing global issues. The Club of Rome was founded in 1968, and I can't even pronounce the name of that city in Rome, Italy. It consists of 100 full members selected from current and former heads of state and government, UN administrators, high-level politicians, and government officials, scientists, economists, and business leaders from around the globe. It stimulated considerable public attention in 1972 when the first report of the Club of Rome, the limits to grow since 1st of July of 2008. So that's the definition of the Club of Rome.
Yeah, and they were about guiding the United Nations, regulate and assist in world governance, not governance, how the United Nations would be able to rule the world. Gorbachev was a huge part of that.
So Gorbachev was part of that. Schwab is also part of that, and the global elite, and it was based out of Rome. So we've learned a lot in the last 2 years about Rome, about the Vatican, and we've also learned a lot in the last 2 years about Schwab, what's the name of the group that they're part of there? John, can you help me out?
World Economic Forum.
World Economic Forum. Yeah, the World Economic Forum, and everybody who's part of that as well. It's just it's crazy how many people are linked to all this stuff and how things really do play out in this whole thing that is being unveiled before our eyes. So let me say something real quick, John, before we bounce on. Yes, I do have Channel 2 up just for a moment. So for those of you on Channel 2, I'm going to kill that here in about 3 or 4 minutes. If you guys want to join us over here at Liberty Warrior Nation, that would be great. I put 2 up tonight so people could find us after we got taken down about 3 weeks ago. So if you guys can drop the link over there in Liberty Warrior Nation Channel 2 for Liberty Warrior Nation, everybody can grab that. You guys can join us over here. I'm going to kill that here in about 2 or 3 minutes. So go ahead there, John.
Well, okay, but everything ties when we have defined and we are living the evil. The evil is the great reset, desire people, and their mission is no border world governance, and the government to where we will own nothing and be happy. We have an administration, and history us that soft socialism and socialism that we're living in right now, decades to implement. But when you go to make the shift from to communism, you will always have an authoritarian, and we could say that the Obama administration was, that's when we got Obamacare and we handed all of our health care over, and they took control of that. And now when we look at what Joey Dimes, 18 months, and how many powers and how much control using from the American people and what he is mandating, think about actions. Because that's one thing when
John.
we talk. Okay.
Hold on just a minute. You're breaking up again. So let me comment on the things that you just talked about, because I think it's important for people to realize that the World Economic Forum and the global elite, they want no borders around any countries. So let me be clear about that. We've talked about that a couple times here at LWN. Why do you think that the Biden administration, when they first came in, had an open border policy on our southern border? So it's all part of the global elite. Look at Europe, folks. I want you guys to pay attention what has happened and transpired within the last 2, 3, 4 years over in Europe, when they had hundreds of thousands of caravans, people going into Europe from all over the Middle East. And they want an open border policy. So they want a globe that has no borders. They want to control everything. They want us to own nothing but to be happy. And you're seeing a lot of that with them. In my opinion, they're stealing the farms here in America. They're stealing properties around the world. Bill Gates is out there buying property like crazy right now, farmland. And this is a control mechanism. So when John talks about socialism, our children in college right now and in the public education system, they're being taught that socialism is the wave of the future. That's where America needs to go. We need to get rid of the capitalism here in America. If you guys watch a lot of these riots, they always claim that capitalism is evil. They want socialism. And what these young folks don't understand is once you get socialism, once you voted for socialism, then communism comes in right after, and you can vote your way in to socialism, but you will have to shoot your way out of communism. And so when they define us, and these are just part of the factions that they use to define us, they start talking about the conservative movement as a bunch of crazies, extremists. We're even tagged domestic terrorists at times, because conservatives and red-blooded patriots like John and myself and you guys listening tonight and watching on YouTube, we know what that means. We know that there's no free meal ticket. We know there's no such thing as debt forgiveness for this college $10,000 to $20,000 college debt forgiveness. That's all a hoax. That is their talking point, and they're buying votes from the younger generation. Go ahead, John.
They're buying votes that they know that this policy will be courts. It has no chance And so, but the time for a court ruling gets them through November. And that's the thing that Republicans and Democrats do. And the narrative push in every election cycle takes place in the last 3 months of any election cycle. They will come out with their agenda and they push that agenda. Joey Dimes cannot run, Democrats cannot run on their policies and what they have. 18 short months, we have gone from a reasonable rate of a high rate of inflation. We have bankrupted and we're shoving money all the time, spending money in the Ukraine. So we're going by other foreign war, not declared, never declared congressionally. We're funding NATO. So we're going around his policy. And what's that leading to? When you have being funded and paid to move to the United States, walk from Colombia without assistance, they had assistance. So they're flooding immigrants, the NGOs, the non-for-profit organization, $8,000 per month. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, you're right on that, John. They are flooding our country with immigrants. You know, I've reported on this multiple times, and I'll say it again. I'll keep saying it. They're claiming at the southern border, and when I mean they, I'm talking about our Border Patrol agents and people who are reporting from the border. They're claiming that they are actually having somewhere between 8 to 10,000 people a day cross our southern border, and it's averaging out to about 500,000 immigrants coming across our border every 28 to 30 days. I reported today, which I've reported even prior in the last few months, that the city of New York is actually trying to allow over 800,000 aliens, foreign nationals, to vote in the city of New York on those type of policies for the city of New York. So what John's talking about here is they're really just flooding nonstop these people that they feel are going to come here. And remember what Obama said. Remember what Obama said way back when he was president of the United States. He said that they will fundamentally change the United States. And even Joe Biden has said that as well, that they want to fundamentally change the United States. So what does that mean? Basically, they want to shift the capitalism and free marketplace into socialism. Everybody's equal. Everybody gets paid the same. And like John said, some of these illegals that cross our border, they're getting government assistance up to $8,000 a month. $8,000 a month. How many of you listening right now are on a fixed income? How many of you listening right now are only getting $600 a month on a fixed income or $1,200 a month on a fixed income? And these illegals that crossed our border are getting 3 and 4 times that and even more. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, dollars is paid to an NGO. It doesn't go directly to the immigrant. So they feed them, they clothe them, and they register them fair system. Then they assist them with getting Medicare, and then in 90 days they turn them loose on the street. In a city in California, they can then they're given a court. They never show up for court, but they're given also a green card then to go get a state driver's license in Sanctuary, New York. So they get a driver's license, and then they can go present in some areas to be eligible to vote. not American. These
Yeah.
people are not Americans. They
Yeah.
haven't accepted. They haven't done anything, contributed anything to America, and yet they're able to vote in our system. They're going to vote for them. They all will openly tell you, many reporters, when they interview you, think of President Joey Dimes. Oh, we
Well, let me
love
talk on
Joey
that.
Dimes.
Yeah, let me talk on that for a minute, John. You're still breaking up. So what John's talking about is when the illegals come in here, they get all kinds of assistance. Call me a liar, but if you go and you research it, you'll be pretty upset with the things that these illegals are actually getting involved in. So let me point out one in particular. While they were coming across the border, when the sickness was at its height, when everybody was locked down, when our children had to go to school and put those nasty things over their faces, these illegals were actually being able to go physically to school. They were also given interpreters to their children so their children could get an education. And this happened in California. I reported on this. In California, they had interpreters while the children in California had to stay home and do online schooling. So that's just one little highlight I can give you guys when we're talking about the funding and all of the handouts and all of the things that our federal government does to make these people feel comfortable. Then what John is also talking about, and this is fact, they are really pushing hard for these people crossing our southern border to come in here and be able to cast a ballot.
Yeah.
Call me crazy, call me conspiracy theorist, that's fine. But you will find out the truth when 2022 comes around and this starts getting dug up and the facts start coming out, because I'm telling you, New York is already trying to do it. New York City is already trying to allow over 800,000 illegals to cast votes for the city of New York and for what happens in the city of New York. So if New York is going to do it, you know San Francisco is going to do it, you know LA is going to do it, you know all those blue cities, blue counties, blue states across America, Chicago being one. I could name 100 of them. Portland, Seattle, all those cities across America are also going to take the lead from New York City and try to do the same thing. They want to fundamentally change America.
Yeah, and when we look at it, there's questions we have to ask ourselves. Number one, our process, the American taxpayer. Number, all of the sanctuary cities, and we have some concerns about the process, President, and we were told that we had some 100 million people participate in the selection process. Look at registered voter rolls. There's no possible that we had that type of turnout. Never has happened. So for people be that all of a sudden were able and allowed, we just told you, that's their process. That's they're weaponizing the selection process.
Yes, they are. Let me talk about that for just a minute, John, because you're still breaking up. So they are definitely weaponizing they're weaponizing certain agencies of the government. But what John is talking about here is, as these illegals pour across our border, they're weaponizing them. And just think about what happened in 2020. Think about the 2K donkeys. Think about all the stuff that's been coming out for the last several months, and all the stuff that I seen in Missouri that came out from all 50 states. So these guys are never going to stop until, in my opinion, they're rounded up, incarcerated, and justice is served. So they've got to do everything they possibly can. They have to do everything they possibly can to stay in power. Power is everything to them, and they're willing to sell their souls to keep that power. So when he talks about weaponizing the illegals coming across the border, that's what I'm talking about. New York, LA. I saw a comment in chat that they've been doing that for years in Detroit, Michigan. So we really have to pay attention to this, folks. And I'm telling you right now, there are so many people across America that have been waking up to all of this, and they're finally starting to get involved at their local level, and they're watchmen. And John used to be a watchman when he was part of the Tea Party, and he was out there rally after rally, and they would wear certain color of shirts, and they were the watchmen. And what I'm trying to tell you guys, my audience tonight, is we have to be watchmen. We have to stand in that gap and not allow this stuff to truly unfold and transform our country into something that it's not. America will never be a socialist country unless we allow it to happen. And I think even Donald Trump said that America will never become a socialist country. But I'm telling you, folks, the left, they're trying real hard to push that. They're trying really hard to indoctrinate our children so that when they become voting age, they'll vote for stuff like that. This is something that's very serious that I want to spotlight tonight. I know John wanted to bring it to your guys' attention. And you know, he's having some technical difficulties tonight, and that's fine. We'll work through them. I can hear pretty much what he's saying, and I'll just repeat it and let you guys know the information that he's trying to get out tonight. So go ahead there, John. If you have a question for me, brother, you can go ahead and ask it.
Okay. Let's get into why we don't allow them to define us. We are being defined, and fathers as school boards be defined as domestic terrorists by the DOJ. We heard our president define us as a fascist movement. We cannot allow that. And why are they doing it? What's their purpose? What's the intent? Is to push the people to violence. They would love the violent extremists that they're describing. That's who we are. We are Americans.
Let me talk about that, John, because you're breaking up. Okay, so what John's talking about, I'm getting hot on the collar just hearing what John's saying. What John is talking about is we cannot allow them to define who we are. And how they try to define us is when parents, when they go to school board meetings and they get, and we're all human, right? We all get emotional at times, and I'm guilty of that. I think everybody can say they're guilty of allowing sometimes their emotions to dictate their intelligence, especially when it comes to our children, and we're trying to protect our children. But when these parents go to these school board meetings, and I actually did an interview, I think it was about a month and a half ago, with a gal in Arizona where her and her husband both were arrested for standing up for their kid in front of a principal. They weren't even in front of the school board. It was just simply a principal. They're getting labeled a domestic terrorist, okay? Just because they're conservative, just because they go to these school board meetings and they don't agree with the left-leaning agenda and ideology. None of us agree with transgenderism or the transgender ideology, and so they label us and they tag us. And what John's trying to tell you guys tonight is they're doing that on purpose. They're really trying to push your buttons. They're standing in front of you and they're tapping their finger on your chest, and they're really trying to provoke the American people. They're really trying to provoke mainly people that call themselves patriots, Trump supporters, constitutionalists, conservatives, Republicans. They're poking their finger in your chest, and they're really labeling you and pushing you to where you will become violent, honestly. And I can't say that word more than probably once tonight, because they're always watching for stuff like that to tag us. But they're really trying to push you into a kinetic situation, whether that is whether that is, marching, protesting, people thinking that grabbing their Second Amendment and running down to a Capitol or something is the answer. That's what they want us to do. And so John is putting a warning out to you guys tonight. Don't let them define us, and don't let them stir us into something that once you step across that line, we can't go back. Is that the answer for what we need to do to take this country back? I can't sit here tonight and tell you that that is what needs to happen, because I don't feel personally, in my opinion, that we have taken this thing to every exhausted try that we possibly can to work through the court systems. And I know a lot of you disagree with me, and that's fine. You have a right to disagree with me, but I don't think that we've gone every place we possibly can. And I don't know if John will agree with me. I can't speak for John, but I'm seeing so many wins out there. I see wins coming out of Nebraska. I shared a win today on Headline Hits of the things that are actually happening in school boards and counties across the country, where conservatives are actually flipping their school boards, flipping their counties, and they're making a huge difference. So when I see wins like that, when I see people moving forward and really making change in their local communities, then no, I cannot say that something kinetic would be the answer at this point. We got to get out there and fight, and we got to fight legally. We got to fight smarter than them, and we are smarter than them. To be honest with you, they're all a bunch of clowns. To be honest with you, and so John, I hope I touched on as many points as you're wanting to share. But go ahead, brother. If you got a question for me or something, let me see if I can answer that for you and give these guys some more information.
Okay, so did everyone hear our president to us as not patriots, but as fascist? And where does that come? Directly from Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. You do me by your words. And then
can you say that,
John?
John, can you say that one more time, and I'll pull that up. Can you give me that name one more time?
Saul Alinsky, Rules for Radicals. There's 7 rules for radicals. And Saul Alinsky trained Barack Hussein Obama.
Okay, let me talk about that for just a minute, John. Let me talk about that for just a minute, because I think it's important. So Saul Zelensky, Rules for Radicals. He is the one who trained Barack Obama. That's what John is talking about right now. And what they're doing is they're imposing this stuff on us. John is saying that our own, well, he's not my president. He's not John's president. I think I could speak for him. And I think I can speak for everybody who's watching tonight. He's not your president either. But he has called us fascists. Now, I just reported earlier today, let me grab it real quick, that there was a GOP center. Let me see it. I know it's right here, where they actually got vandalized today. And what you say, John, is exactly what they put on there. Florida's Seminole County GOP vandalized. It says, eat, you know what, fascist. And so that's what they're starting to label us. John is giving you guys a warning right now. They are starting to label GOP, Republicans, conservatives, Trump supporters, patriots. They're starting to flip that, and they're putting that on us and labeling us fascists. Go ahead, John.
And I have, we all have seen what took place at Mar-a-Lago. Mr. T were to be arrested, that would drive us to act like a fascist.
Yeah.
And to go kinetic, we will not allow us. We will vote in November and remove.
There you go. So let me talk about what John was just saying. I know you guys are having a hard time hearing him, but I'm hearing what he's saying. So part and it is also my opinion as well. I can't speak for John or anyone else, but it is partly my opinion that the reason why they did go after Mar-a-Lago was to incite violence from us. Seriously, think about how many people took offense to that. They wanted to protect the Orange Man, and they were ready to grab their Second Amendment and run out the front door. That was part of the play, in my opinion. That was part of the play. I know there was other parts to that, but that was part of the play. So let me read these rules that John's talking about and see if any of this stuff sounds familiar to you guys. All right. So one, power is not only what you have, but what the enemy thinks you have. Number two, never go outside the experts of your own people.
The expertise.
Expertise of your own people. Whenever possible, go outside. So this is almost contradictory. Whenever possible, go outside the experts of the enemy. Here you want to cause confusion, fear, and retreat. Did you guys hear what I just said? Rule number 3 is you want to cause confusion, fear, and retreat. Make the enemy live up to your own book of rules. You can kill them with this, for they can no more obey their own rules than the Christian church can live up to Christianity. Rule number 5, ridicule is man's most potent weapon. Ridicule is man's most potent weapon. That's rule number 5. Rule number 6, a good tactic is one that your people enjoy. If your people are not having a ball doing it, then there is something wrong with the tactic. That's rule number 6. Well, we seen that the summer of love of 2020. Everybody was enjoying going and burning buildings to the ground, right? So rule number 7, a tactic that drags on too long becomes a drag. Man can salutate militant interest in any issue for only a limited time. Keep the pressure on with different tactics and actions. Utilize all events of the period for your purpose. Rule number 9, the threat is usually more terrifying than the thing itself. Rule number 10, the majority premise for tactics is to develop the development of operations that will maintain a consistent pressure upon the opposition. It is this unceasing pressure that results in the reactions from the opposition that are essential for the success of the campaign. So there you have it. Rule number 10, and I got 3 more rules and I'll be done. But rule number 10 states, keep the pressure on, and unceasing pressure that results in reactions from your opposition. So what John's talking about is they keep pushing us and pushing us. We got Mar-a-Lago. We got tagged, domestic terrorists. So they keep pushing us and pushing us and pushing us, and they keep that pressure on until the opposition, which is us, will do something foolish, and that gives the campaign its success. So rule number 11, we got 3 left. Rule number 11, if you push a negative hard and deep enough, it will break through into its counter side. This is based on principle that every positive has a negative. The price of a successful attack is a construction alternative. You cannot risk being trapped by the enemy in his sudden agreement with your demand and saying, you're right, you don't know what you're doing about this issue. Now tell us. And the last rule, pick a target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. In conflict tactics, there are certain rules that the organizer should always regard as universalities. One is that the opposition must be singled out as a target and frozen. By this, I mean that in a complex, interrated urban society, it becomes increasingly difficult to single out who is to blame for any particular evil. There is a constant and somewhat legitimate passing of the buck in these times of urbanization, complex metropolitan governments, the complexities of major interlocked corporations, and the interlocking of public life between cities and counties and the metropolitan authorities. The problem that threatens to loom more and more is that the identifying the enemy. So those are the 13 rules of engagement from Sir, well, I don't even want to call him Sir, from Sal Azalinsky, which is the guy who trained the great organizer, Big Ears himself, Obama.
Yeah. Think how and that's what they're doing. They are defining us, but who they want their team to think we are. Radicals. We are the extremists, that we are violent. And, what they call the insurrection, which by definition, and they change them, and they said, well, no, we had an insurrection. No insurrection by definition that took place at the Capitol. Went wrong? Yes, it was. Was it wrong? Yes, it was. But it wasn't.
Let me talk about that real quick, John, because you're breaking up. So let me reiterate what John is talking about. J6. They took J6, and it's funny because I got a lot of people on Facebook who like to try to attack me. They call us fascist. They call us extreme terrorists. They call us all kinds of things on Facebook, and I find it absolutely hilarious because they have no clue what they're even talking about. But what John is trying to explain to you guys is they're labeling us this so that their own group, the Democrat Party, will look at us this way. I get some very angry people that send me all kinds of messages about exactly what John is pointing out here today. If I talk anything about J6 in a positive light, and I talk about how it was basically a field trip, which that's all it was, but then I turn around and I talk about the summer of 2020, and nobody got in trouble for any of that. They call me a racist. They call me a fascist. They label me an extremist. They call me every dirty name in the book. And what John is talking about, their mouthpiece, the lamestream media, is doing their job. They're programming. They're indoctrinating their side of whatever you want to call it. They're grooming these people to look at us in that light. And I'm not trying to speak for John. I'm just trying to relay some of this information that he's putting out tonight because it's true. And so then these people, they go on the attack. They have attacked me. They'll walk up to you. Remember old Maxine Waters? Get in their face, yell at them, scream at them. They are inciting these people to do the things that they're telling these people that we are doing. Smoke and mirrors. It's all BS. I don't know I couldn't tell you anybody that I personally know that would go out there and harm anybody or do any of this nonsense that they claim that we're doing.
Yeah, and they know that, but they are. Watch this week. Biden is going to give a speech, and he's going to define us again. Narrative, pushing their belief that there's truth behind us as being fascist, exist, and that does not define the American people who
You're right,
want
John.
limited government.
You're
Those are
right.
the, we have complaints, we have a valid understanding of what's being done to us in class. We see it, but yet they're defining us as something that, and it's to incite violence.
Here's
Don't
here's
buy it.
another defining, John. Tell me if you remember this, John, because we talk about it on Podbean quite often. The supposed, I hate even calling this guy this, I really do. The resident, okay? The resident in charge, supposedly in charge, went on national television and defined patriots, defined purebloods, defined people who wanted to exercise their constitutional rights, whether it was religious freedom or whatever it was. He defined us as the problem. He defined us as this is a pandemic of the unvacationed. There's our tag. He blamed all of it on us. But the funny thing is the purebloods are the ones that aren't getting sick. It's the ones who have taken the vacation. They're getting sick. They've been double and triple and quadruple boosted. They're still getting sick. It's just really shameful that somebody who claims to be the president of the United States, who claims to be the man of the people, will segregate a certain demographic of people. So if you call yourself a Trump supporter or a patriot or conservative, then he singles us out and he labels us and attacks us and tries to get us by pushing our buttons to do exactly what John is talking about tonight, which is to go kinetic, which is to use force, and go out there and do some ridiculous and really stupid things. And I just encourage everybody listening tonight. That's not our path. Okay. That's I don't encourage it. I don't condone it. I never will. If I ever come on this channel and say it's time to go grab your Second Amendment, then you know that SHIT just hit the fan. So, and I'll never do that. So be vigilant, be careful, be cautious of who you are around, and who you share time with, and just really be careful not to get sucked into that hole that sometimes your emotions can really just draw you in. When something really terrible happens to your president or to a group of people that you just absolutely adore, and you think this is our moment, this is our time, that we should go grab our Second Amendment and march on Washington. I'm telling you, folks, it's not now. It's not time. I don't believe we're ever going to get to that time. I hope and I pray to God that we never cross that bridge, because once we cross that, folks, there is no coming back. There is no pause button to that. And I don't want to see this country go into what we would call a civil war. I don't want to see it. I think there are too many lives at stake that matter on both sides, whether it's Republican or Democrat, it don't matter. I think all life matters. Would I like to see some of these people like Fauci and Bill Gates pay for their crimes? 100%. And I do believe in capital punishment. I believe we need to bring capital punishment back, to be honest with you. I think we've been way too laxed in the last 20, 30 years, 40 years. So, John, I hope I relayed what you're trying to get out there. Sorry, I don't mean to speak for you, but you're still breaking up.
Got it. And here's the thing, folks. Stand on what every American can identify as a truth of the failures and policies, and what he said he would do and what he has done. Failure: high gas prices, open borders, high inflation, spending, funding of a war, everything that demand he's going to, he said, us as a nation. Not true. He speaks division speech. So he's not, stand on
let
your
me speak on that.
Go ahead.
Let me speak on that for you, John. So what John is talking about is come November of 2022 and come November of 2024, you hold these politicians accountable for their policies. And he's mainly speaking about Joey Dimes right now. All the failures of this current administration. Look at them. There isn't one thing that this man has done that's been positive for the American people. And I would offer anybody a spot on this panel to hop up here and tell me one good thing that he's done besides unite the patriot movement. Hold them accountable. The failures, the high gas prices, the open borders, the inflation, just all across the board, all the stuff. The Democrats in 2022 and 2024 have nothing to run on. Now, remember, Trump ran on his policies back in 2019. He ran on his policies. He got up on stage and told us one thing after another, after another, after another that we were sitting there winning on. We were winning on the lowest unemployment in history, the best economy in history. He talked about the wall that he was building. He talked about all the good things that his policies brought to the American people. What John is trying to tell you is when these snakes in the grass come out on the stage and they try to get your vote, look at their policies, because their policies will always speak volumes. Go ahead, John.
And define them by their words. They are liars. They are.
Let me speak on that. Let me speak on that, John. Let me speak on that.
All right, go ahead.
John just said, if you didn't hear it, define them by their words. So tonight, we're not going to allow them to define us, but we are going to define them. We're going to define them by the liars that they are. Joey Dimes is a liar. Kamala Hillsup Harris is a liar. Who else do we have? Nancy Pelosi is a liar. Liz Cheney is a liar. Mitt Romney is a liar. Mitch McConnell is a liar. Yeah, I'm gonna call the right and I'm gonna call the left. Party does not matter to me. These guys are rhinos. They're liars. They have absolutely took us for a ride, and we're no longer going to stand up and allow this to happen to America. Go ahead, John.
Be clear. What have they done for the working class America? Have they done to improve your standing in life? They have done.
Woo. All right. I'm gonna speak on what John just said, and I tell you what, I get fired up about this. I'm gonna ask chat a question for what John just said. Ask yourself this question, and I know probably 99% of you guys tonight would never even consider voting blue. I would say probably most of you would vote conservative. But when you're talking to your friends, when you guys are talking to your families, when you guys are at the water cooler and you guys start talking about politics and the coming elections, ask your friends and family this question. What has this administration done for the middle class family, for the working people of America? Name one policy that this current administration, or the Democrats for that matter, has done for the American people in the last 18 months. Think about that for a minute. What have they done? They've raised our taxes. They've shot inflation out of the ceiling. They've raised our gas prices. Think of all this. They're taxing us higher. The groceries have gone up. Think of all the things that this Democrat Party has done to the American people. And I don't just say Democrats, because Mitch McConnell and the rest of them have gone along with it as well. They have what is the word? Capitulated to the Democrats. And you can find that out by fact by just looking at their voting record. Go ahead, John.
To that, Mike, because everything that they implemented and they done that drove inflation through the 8 Republicans or 9 Republican senators to get that. There were 9 or 8 rhinos on every piece of legislation down our throats to put this nation exactly where we are in flavoring. It's an untold, horrible tax on the back of the working taxpayer, the people that fund the entire system.
Yes.
We are some of the system that is destroying us.
Yeah. So what John is saying, and we're getting ready to roll into final thought here, John. So think about what you want to say, and I'll put it out there for you. The middle class, the tax-paying middle class, hardworking Americans, you, me, John, and everyone else that listens to like-minded influencers, podcasters, whatever you want to call them, they are taxing us to death. They have done nothing for us. Their policies have done nothing but put America last. I talk about that all the time. I call Joe Biden and his administration the America Last administration because that's exactly what they've done. They have absolutely destroyed America in 18 months by the cancellation of the Keystone Pipeline, by the open border policy on our southern border. Everything that these people have done has done nothing but hurt the working class American people. And we're the ones that fund that. Like John just said, our taxes are what fund all this stuff. So, like I said, when you're involved at the water cooler, when you're at a barbecue with your family and friends, and you guys get into a civil conversation about politics, don't let them define you. Be proud to be a conservative. Be proud to be a Trump supporter. Be proud to be a Christian and a God-fearing patriot. Don't let them define you as something that we are not. We are the party of law and order. Donald Trump even said that lots of times. This is a nation of law and order, and the Conservative Party is a party of law and order, and we won't let anyone else define us otherwise. John, your final thoughts, sir?
Well, Joey Dimes, he goes and he speaks to a group in Pennsylvania because that they have to win, and he goes and he defines himself as a law and that we don't need to defund the police. We need to fund the police. Well, I want you to understand that is a lie. His DAs across this nation, George Soros funded, have killed departments, have taken down and forced those people who are in a Democrat-run city, New Orleans. It's a crap hole. Anybody want to be a policeman in New Orleans to where the mayor goes into a courts this kid that's carjacking people, carjacked multiple women, and she goes in and supports that kid. That's anything that we hold as lawful. And our lawful in listening and define yourself as a lawful person of your state, a God-fearing person of your state, and you will not capitulate. You won't give in to any definition that is not who you are. Stand in the principles. Always remember, God wins this battle.
Amen, John. Okay, so let me sum this up for John and his final thought. So Joe Biden went in front of a crowd in Iowa and told them that we needed to fund the police and that we needed more police, which is 100% a bold-faced lie. It is his administration. It's even his VP who's gone on record multiple times and said that the enemy is actually law enforcement and we need to defund them. Remember that? Remember the old George Floyd incident? Remember all the summer of 2020, how the police were evil. They burned police departments to the ground. They rioted. That's a lie. They're not an administration of law and order. So this is John Estabrook's final thought for tonight. Don't allow them to define you. You define yourself by being proud. Again, I'm going to echo this, by being proud to be a God-fearing, God-serving, patriot, conservative, law-abiding. And that is who we are, and that's who we are going to be. And that is the label that we give ourselves, and no other label is going to be good enough. We're not going to allow it. We're not going to accept it. We're not going to capitulate to it. We are the red-blooded American patriot, God-fearing conservatives, and we're here to take our country back. All right. Thanks for joining us tonight, John Estabrooks. Really appreciate it. Folks, catch me out tomorrow evening, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. God bless. Love you all.
Hoping for a sincere performance, but open to finding the moment, to finding out where I'm headed now. Looking for a sign of disaster, so I can make it there faster. I'm weighing the consequences out.